Welcome back, episode 69 of the Ground Up podcast.
Taylor Wimpey getting fined £800,000 after a teenager fell through this hole.
Doesn't that deter employers from wanting to bring up young recruits because they're like, it's just too risky with them on site?
Fines are relevant to the size of business you are, but there's no point hitting me with an £800,000 fine. I'm going to shut up shop. Hence, hundreds of people are going to lose their job. So what's the point of that?
China's already using humanoid robots on construction sites. People like us will probably be a half and half labour force.
Donald Trump has just signed an executive order to allow the public to invest their pension fund, and they can invest in digital currencies and cryptos.
Think tank urges tax hike to fill 41 billion. How are they going to fund this? There is no out. We need a revolution. It's the only way that we can get out of it.
What they've forgotten is they've whacked us in the face with a cricket bat before they've fucking brought us to pastures.
Bitcoin comes in and kind of goes, fuck you to them guys, because it's global. And if you don't have Bitcoin yet, viewers, that's how you get out of trouble.
Ground up sound, ooh, yeah. Real estate deals. We lay them down, let's get those deals. Deals, deals, making money, baby.
Welcome back, episode 69 of the Ground Up podcast. And if you don't know who we are, we're four property developers based in the UK. We've got a full house from the start of the episode. Thank you, Dee, for joining us. Very much appreciated.
Giggity.
And we are, four developers, and we operate businesses around the UK. And every week we get around the mic and chat shop about being developers, raising money, markets, hiring staff, all the funds and joys that come with trying to operate in the current economic climate of the UK. So hopefully we divulge some useful information for you in this episode. We'll be talking about all kinds of things happening in the property sector. We'll be talking about SDLT. We're going to be talking about the budget as well that's coming out for Rachel Reeves and ever increasing black hole. We're going to be talking about 401ks in America and the potential capital unlock for Bitcoin, and then a little bit more about things that are happening within our sector. So hopefully you enjoy. Thank you very much for tuning in. Subscribe and share the episode with anyone who you think may find it useful. Episode 69. Let's go. Stu, health and safety. How's it going?
Today, so we recorded last week's episode on Tuesday morning, and now it's Friday morning of the same week. So yeah, I've just been head down, head in a book all week. Really, it's been really good, really productive. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed learning more about health and safety. I was even blow drying my hair this morning, thinking, what am I doing, standing on an unpat tested hairdryer on the wet floor in the bathroom? Like, it just gets your brain thinking about like electricity and all the other stuff that you know about, and you know it's safe or dangerous. It's been really good. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping I pass. I've already blagged the fact that I'm dyslexic, so I need an extra 7 minutes to read, because I sort of generally will skim over a few chapters and not pay full
Slipped him a
attention.
20 for that, probably.
Oh yeah, I've negotiated. Let's put it that way. We're on good terms. But it's been a good course. I would thoroughly recommend anyone who's in the construction industry, if you want to take your, we've all got an obligation and duty to get everyone to and from site safe. One of the comparisons yesterday was, your guys in the office, they'll moan if the aircon breaks or there's not enough bog roll in the toilet. Yeah, we'll send boys to site and we'll not give them any hot water, and we'll treat them with a sort of lesser way of living, and it's just not fair. And we've got a great culture, but there's always improvements. And I think defining CDM 2015, where when it came out in 2015 or it was amended, everyone sort of like shies away from it. It's like, it's more change, don't want to learn it. But actually it makes so much sense, the way that someone's accountable for each part of the process, and just pulling back the layers. Really, it's been really good. So yeah, SMSTS is like the management course, and then there's
that's what you're doing?
Like supervision. Yeah, effectively, yeah, because Will's done it as well. So because we're the developer contractor, we want to make sure that we're doing everything right, and there's no point, and a lot of money is put towards being a better employer and a better and dealing with health and safety. So you sort of want to, you understand the risks, you think you understand the risks until you go on these courses. And I'm going to do it for my, I've got 13 loft fitters, and I'm going to have a meeting with them next week. Now we've got a breakfast sorted out, and I'll be like, look, this is the new health and safety. I'm going to go around and do health and safety inspections as well, because I'm going to site anyway, seeing customers, having a cup of tea with them, looking at their loft, and just trying to up the ante and making sure that you bring them with you. Because as soon as you start going about inspections, people think, oh God, I'm being assessed, and why is there change? But it's only for their safety. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's going to have to talk to their loved ones if there is an accident and someone falls from height or damaging themselves. So it's just really good to shape the mind, sharpen up. And
How much does it cost, and how many days you've been doing it?
I don't know because I didn't book it. I didn't pay for it. The office booked it for me. I think it's about 400 or 500 quid for the week. I think it's maybe 200 or 300 quid for the triple STS. There's NEBOSH and there's health and safety and all, first aid courses and PAT testing courses. Like we're putting them on all of them because it just makes sense. Like it's not that expensive, not when you could save someone's life really, and it's just consider a construction on steroids really.
Question I have for you: obviously, you've got the loft fitting company, and you've also got the development sites. Is there a clear sort of difference to how you're going to tackle both those different sites, or are you going to really double down on domestic stuff as well?
Yeah, I think there is in the law. There's domestic sites and commercial in terms of risk assessments and a few other things about who's liable and effective. I've looked at all of our loft fitters as subcontractors as well, and there's a clause in Book A which is effectively saying that all subcontractors are responsible for their own health and safety. But effectively, because they come to us full time, we give them fixed price contracts. They take an element of risk. They can be self-employed in that role, but they really are employees in the law's eyes. And I think that was it's easy to go, oh, it's someone else's problem, but ultimately it's not. It all comes to the employer. So yeah, we're going to double down on both sides. We've got one process that we're building for the commercial stuff. We're going to try and implement it. We're going to implement it in the domestic side as well. So yeah, it's just one of those things that gives you a new lease of life.
Can you explain the liability risk just for the viewers' benefit as well? Like, because you're studying this health and safety, things like that, obviously in the interests of your moral obligations
Unlimited
to make sure
fines.
people are safe. But yeah, what is
fines
the
and imprisonment? The basically the highest. It's the highest. So health and safety. The story yesterday was the reason health and safety got in there was that we all used to have, as tradesmen, we used to go around the back door when we were doing domestic sites. No one wanted to see us. We were dirty, messy. We'd come through chimneys. We were almost treated like third-class citizens. And that's when health and safety come in, started saying you must do it this way, you must do it that way, and trying to change the way people do their job. So people get their back up. You're not telling me how to do it. I've done it all these years, and health and safety was lost. And then they started doing standard practices and ways that you should think about doing it. That's not the law, but it's guidance. And if you break the guidance and you don't use it or implement it, then in court they can use that to say, well, we've issued guidance as health and safety execs. You've not listened to the guidance, and now you've effectively broken the law, even though it's not law. And then what they've done is they built it from it within inside. So they've tried to. I mean, the idea of a risk assessment, a method statement, and a permit to work is, you assess the risk, which is the legal thing, to make sure you've assessed. You've not just thrown someone onto a hop up and asked them to stand on a roof and fix the tile. You've gone through the risks that are there. Then the method is down to whoever's doing the work. So you're giving them free rein to go. You build it how you like, mate. As long as you assess the risks and you build a method around doing that job safely, then you've done everything you can to foresee the problem. And obviously, anything that's super high risk, then they really are pushing permits to work. So you actually go and get permission to do a specific task. That's effectively going to give someone else accountability. So you'd either put two people to work. That's why health safety's got a bad reputation. Is you get two people to watch one person doing the job. It's a bit of a piss take, but ultimately, if it's making sure there's someone accountable at all times for that decision. And employees as well actually have an element of responsibility. Their job is to make sure that they adhere to the policies set out by the company and that they work to the method statements you give them. And if they go off piece to that, then they have an element of responsibility in court to say, look, I've done my own thing. I've done it off my own initiative, and an accident happened. But if you haven't got those paperwork and policies in place to make sure you can prove it, in the law's eyes with health and safety, you're guilty until proven innocent. And your job is to go and then defend yourself and say, I've done everything I can. We're in a high risk environment and something's happened. And now the consequences are someone's either going to prison, paying a fine, or lessons have to be learned.
Do you think that the harsh penalties, though, particularly imprisonment, is a good way to regulate the sector? Only reason I say it is because, and I can say this from a bit of experience as well, when you're trying to bring on young guns and train up younger lads on site and get them to learn the ropes and things like that, young people are going to make mistakes and they're not going to be as aware. They're not going to follow method statements as well. Doesn't that deter employers from wanting to bring up young recruits because they're like, it's just too risky with them on site?
Good point. And there is a whole section on young people at work and making sure that they haven't got the experience. So you need to work extra hard on those. The fines, to touch on that. So the fines are relevant to the size of business you are. So, if they hit you with an 80 grand fine, the size you are, it's going to hurt, right? And they understand that their job is not to put people out of business. I just literally, as you were reading it, trying to pull up this health and safety exec link, which was about Taylor Wimpey getting fined £800,000 after a teenager apprentice injured on site who basically fell through this hole on a site. And they've done this job thousands of times, and yet something went wrong in their policies, where someone who was inexperienced has walked straight through this hole and fallen. I don't know if they died or not. They were injured. Charlie Marsh, 17, had been working on a contract. I don't think he died. He's lucky to escape serious injury, but they got fined £800,000 because they can afford it, and it had to hurt them. So it's just really good. I've got a newfound respect for the health and safety exec, really.
The fine amount based on what the turnover of the business is.
Yeah, it will be judged by the court. Yeah, the courts will decide on how much a fine will hurt them for that. They need to learn a lesson. There's no point hitting me with an £800,000 fine. I'm going to shut up shop, and tens to hundreds of people are going to lose their job. So what's the point in that? The idea is to hurt someone to make sure they actually learn and pay attention and improve everything in the business. Because it's one of those things you can always deal with tomorrow, but when tomorrow comes and you've dealt with nothing, it's a problem. So it's just a word of advice, I think.
I always love it when someone's coming fresh off a course and they've it's boom, it's front and center.
To be fair to Stu,
the only thing Stu needs really, which is a shame for viewers, is when he did all that explanation, he should have been in a high vis and a hard hat with goggles and gloves and earmuffs.
There's nothing in the health and safety policy. There's nothing in the health and safety policy that says you have to wear a hard hat. In no documents.
Yes.
It's down to the policies of the job and specific task you're doing to where what PPE is required. Now, it was easier to get everyone to wear a hard hat because it is one rule. But if you actually look through the task of where you should, or the guidance to when you should protect your head, if you've got a decorator walking to site, they've got all the risks to get to the room they're going to decorate. They can almost take the hat off, decorate the room because there's no risks inside. And then when they go back to the canteen, put the hat on. But trying to manage that from a site perspective is a nightmare. So they made a sort of the site rules was.
I've got a good example, mate. I've got a real world example that I filmed on the vlog yesterday on Buzzers Bar, where the phase of works we're going through, there's no overhead works going on other than the Alecki's pulling the M&E through on the other side of the building. So I didn't need to wear the helmet, but for the purposes of shooting the video and making sure the mongs online don't screw me around, I put the hard hat on. And as I was going under the other side of the building, where it's completely safe, the lads upstairs was pulling some drywall along. But when they were doing it, they knocked the floor because they were like hammering off one of the edges, and a bit of the ceiling fell. And literally on vlog, it fell like right next to my head. And I was like, "That's why you wear a helmet." It was like I was going to say,
like, if you look at the risks and that, it's like you've got slip, trips, and falls. You've got unsecure floor. You've got bits falling from the ceiling. You've got, you've almost got dust in your eyes. They got. It's so funny because I come home, 2 days ago, and showed the all-in-one masks. So we've got this. What do you call them? Sovereign Housing Association companies. 2 of them on this course, and they've all got the all-in-one masks, but they haven't got the hard hat. But you can buy ones that have got the air conditioning built in, the belt around them. And like, this is the way it's going now. It's like you go to work, you're going to go into any dusty environment, any risk environment. You're just going to put this helmet on, and you look like you just come from Mars, man. Yeah, you look like you're a spaceship.
I just put an image in the WhatsApp group, by the way, guys, of a flow of the key health and safety regs to. If you're going to operate in construction, as somebody, as like a director of a company of a construction, in theory, you need to know. Well, you need to know about these regs and laws, basically, and it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of them.
Oh, that's a bit of homework then. I'll do a bit of homework on that. Well, Dee, why don't you give us because obviously you run a large construction company. What's your experience with HSE? Have you done the SMSTS? Who's trained up?
I have done SMSTS, and I was and I still am as budding and as enthusiastic about Stuart. And by the time you finish the course, you do go. It does open your eyes. I would, anybody in construction running a company, even if they're not doing the work, I would recommend it. I'd also, on the back of that, I'd also recommend doing the 1-day IOSH Directors Leading Safely course, and also the Directors Role for Health and Safety course as well. They're both 1-day ones, and they're tailored for directors. Because we've had HSE inspections on several of our sites over the years. Unfortunately, we've also had a HSE fine. Never had a prohibition notice from HSE, which is good. So they've never had to come and shut the sites down. And that's the thing, right? The HSE executive, if you're clearly trying to operate safely, they do acknowledge that there are tons of regs, and it's so easy for certain things to not be done in terms of the standard that they want them to be done. But what they do, from my experience anyway, is they look at your attitude and look at what you are doing, and they weigh that up against the gravity of what you've not done or have admitted to do, have missed doing. If they turn up on site, for example, and you're just not abiding to any HSE regs or the fundamental basics, kind of like what Stuart said, like no hot water and stuff like that, they'll shut your site down and issue a prohibition notice. And the one thing about that is it's public information as well, and they've got the laws and powers to do so. And then if you breach that, you can basically end up in prison, as Stuart said. So it is extremely serious. But also like that flow chart I've sent you, then when you look at it and when you think about it and when you attend the course, there genuinely is so much you need to consider that you're like, it can be overwhelming to the point it's like, how am I going to make sure, like, not only do I get all these policies and procedures in place, but everybody adheres to them? Because I know I've worked on site like you, Jab. I was a labourer at one point, and people don't follow them. They don't follow them. Like, it's when I was working on site years ago, it wasn't cool to follow health and safety. And on the flip side, as an employer, it's your duty to protect them. But long story short, yeah, I think on the last health and safety HSE inspection that we had, from and I've had meetings with them as well, that they identified for us, because I've got it here actually in front of me. They come in, they check that that you're planning. So it's all about plan, kind of like what Stu said, CDM there. You're planning and you're trying to design out risk and manage out risk. So things like one of our groundworks, they were manually breaking up the road, but we had a machine on site that you could have had a pecker attachment for, and that they would have designed out the risk of them dealing with vibration, etc., instead of using a jackhammer. So that's something they pulled us up on. Also, they check all the paperwork to make sure that you're doing your relevant inspections, the relevant audits you need to. Your risk assessments aren't generic, because a lot of risk assessments out there nowadays, ours were as well, were generic. They were given by consultants, etc. But the problem with that is they're the starting point, and they're meant to be adapted for each individual site. And then also when you're doing tasks, they're meant to be adapted for each task. And your construction phase plan is meant to be updated constantly. Your traffic management plan is meant to be updated constantly. Noise control and understanding how that's being actually measured as well, in terms of surveys, calculations, noise protection zones, dust, silica, and that type of hazards. Again, PPE, face mask, clean shaving policy or not. Like, for example, we had a clean shaving policy, yet nobody was clean shaven. I'm just admitting that, and so we sorted that out.
There's a big point you're saying there, yeah, and this will be beneficial for anyone who's not in construction listening. But there are second and third order consequences to regulation, health and safety, and things like that aren't necessarily obvious. And one of the things for our sector, and we've had this a lot with lads, health and safety is already a cost, and it's an absolute cost that is warranted, because you have to have an element of health and safety in construction. But if you enforce PPE, particularly face masks, goggles, gloves, and shit like that, and you force all your lads to do it, you're going to lose the lads. The lads just don't want to work in that kind of environment, and they want to get paid more, which is another cost that's just going to increase the cost of the. Yes, it is a cultural issue, but it's kind of fair, because why do they want to show up to work every day doing a hard-ass job, wearing a face mask, goggles?
It's for their own protection, because when they understand what silica does, that's what these courses are for. You understand what silica dust is, asbestos, hand-arm vibration.
But we know in practicality, though, like, think about it, yeah? Like, how long you've been operating a construction business and who actually really follows all those things to the nth degree. They don't, right? Because it's things are common sense.
That's the problem, is that health and safety needs to be actually cool. It's because people go and do cold water swimming, they go to the gym, they eat fresh food, they try and eat healthy. It's become a massive shift, right? And HSE have to jump on that bandwagon and go, people need to look after their bodies, because these things, like, with diseases and stuff.
On the back of that, in terms of the last HSE inspection visit we had, and then also in the head office, we had two in for like basically a day meeting. And a big thing that they were focusing on was occupational health and safety, which is all about the well-being and health and safety of the personnel, rather than, that obviously all the health and safety stuff and all the regs would comply, but they wanted to make sure that all the personnel were being screened, that we were basically ensuring that we're tracking the risks on them, their health, their well-being, their the mental health, first aid, all that sort of stuff they wanted in place from us as the size of business we're at. And it is, I'll be honest with you, we were behind on that stuff, to be honest. So we've had to bring in consultants and help us get up to speed with it, because we have all the site-based health and safety stuff, and then all the occupational health and safety. It becomes, and this is why when you get companies, eventually you need a full-time health and safety manager, and eventually also a health and safety director.
Yeah, 100%. You're not the only one, dear. That's the problem, is that this thing gets left behind because it's all about the last resort. And right, in terms of your point, it's a cultural thing. If you've got 10 guys on site and 2 or 3 of them you lose because they don't want to protect their own body, their health, and and be at risk of losing, of dying effectively, which is the end result, then the new people that come in, if policy's set, and this is how we do things around here, people will put their gloves on, their goggles and hard hat and get to work, because that's the way that the business is set. So it's all set from the top down, which is why I'm doing this course, is because I can't take it seriously if I don't understand. I never knew what hand arm vibration was until yesterday or the day before. And the second that Dee's talking about, well, why are they not using PECA, makes complete sense. All you got to do is look at the photos of where it used to be almost a bragging right. The boys down the pub, oh, my fingers are completely white, they're fucked. It's because they're dead. And if they die too much, they turn black and you have to get them amputated. It's not much fun when you can't move your best tools you've got, when you're in your 60s, because you've lost it from using a breaker.
Question for you on that point, because the handheld breakers have improved since a lot in the last sort of 20 years. And that's speaking from experience and actually using them. But what if the cost of a machine with a PECA is tenfold of a machine
so
handheld?
Risk is versus time, value, and effort.
There's no regulation that says you can't use them, but the health and safety have guidance. So, for example, if you're using sometimes you have to. Like if you're in a confined space, you can't get a machine there. You need to use hand tools that carry with the risk.
Yeah.
But
a certain amount of time.
There is published health and safety guidance about time. You need to say, right, how long is that task going to take? You need to calculate the vibration, because all of the data sheets on the tool will tell you the vibration and or the decibels for noise as well, because that's also one noise. And you're meant to calculate before they do the task as part of the RAMs. It's all about forward planning, and then monitoring that they've not gone over the time, because on some tools you can only use them for an hour a day. And if you go over that, you as the employer broke the law, basically. And if it's found that you've let them do that, the employer is basically a finable offence.
The things you would do that is you do rotation. So if you've got a job that you can't get a PECA in, you would rotate every hour, because that's the vibration allowance or maximum. There's 2 words, can't think of what they are. One's like the max value and one's like the time value. And then you wear a watch as well. So it actually tell you when you're actually hitting. Orange means that you need to take a break, and red means you're done for the day. So that's all measured on vibration to stop these diseases happening.
I was just going to say, for anyone who's wondering why house prices keep going up, it's because these kind of regulations and these sorts of things. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying it is a fact that the more regulations that come in, the second and third order consequences are it's harder to work, it's more laborious to work, it's more costly to work, so the end product becomes more expensive. However, in a world that's coming where robots are doing all this work, health and safety might just completely disappear.
Well, you'll never get out of this ground workers, in theory, if the planning and the system was there, working in a factory it is safer than working on site. But when you're on site, obviously you've done developments, right? So you know what I'm talking about here. Take a building, and then you have the complexity of actually, when you break it all down, about stripping it back and actually rebuilding it, or a new build development site where you have to go in, remediate, and redo it. But those like robots are good for certain tasks. But in terms of going into strip aside, do the remediation, get it ready.
There'll be bipedal humanoid robots that do it.
And there are robots that are bringing out for construction. That's like an octopus arm, that's like will move an egg. It's like the way it works, like a tentacle. Is like
I wonder what that was then. Well, you showed me video.
it just they showed like I only recorded the last
Use
few.
eggs for on your sites.
Making breakfast, mate.
But D, I
Cleaning
know what
bottoms.
you're saying. Bipedal humanoid robots are coming, and they'll be able to do anything a human can do. Well, if you look at the roadmap from, say, Boston Dynamics, Tesla, and China's mental. China's already using humanoid robots on construction sites. They're already there. The tech is there. It just needs to be mass produced. So I reckon 10 years, and it will be people like us will probably be a half and half labor force.
We have to pay bills
Yes.
today, so
Yes. Yeah. No, I know. It's just
he's going to be sat in his armchair rocking he is, and he's older. The robots are going to come.
It's just an interesting insight that these things we're talking about create costs because of the human involvement, but you remove the human involvement, you can see how technology is deflationary, and it will bring down a lot of those bureaucratic costs, because we're not going to care as much about a robot's health and safety than we are about the humans, right? And also a robot's going to know the health and safety to the letter, and it's going to follow everything that it would need to if it did.
Until it
I
gets
think
a bang on the head and goes AWOL and then starts taking over the world.
Yeah, and look, we have had as a business, right, accidents on site, and it opened your mind up. And we've had to do RIDDOR reporting, and we've and we're fine, obviously. Otherwise, you'd have seen it on the news. Just Google us, and it's all fine. But these things happen. Like when you're building hundreds and hundreds of homes, all the main construction companies, unfortunately, they try to prevent it, but it is literally a very high risk activity, construction, and it's so quick something can go wrong. And we had an accident, and it was nearly a fatality, but it wasn't. Fortunately, it was it was a reportable offence, and the guy was hospitalised. But as a business, we did have the paperwork in line, and the guy was not doing what he should have done and signed up to do. So it didn't really. We were able to prove that the business put in place what it should have done, but if someone goes outside of that, even though you've done everything you can, then you as a business you won't be responsible for it, basically. But it opens your mind when you go on the course like Stuart's done, but then when you've also seen and experienced it, it really does open your mind, because you're like, it can, you can. All it takes is a swing of a bucket of a machine, and you could kill someone.
Yeah, that happened up here. That happened up here on a council site. Bucket swung, killed one of the guys dead on site.
And when it comes to a cost, it should be a cost built into your practices and procedures. Like it should be a cost that's already built into what you do for a living, because what you wouldn't, if you go to court and say, I could have done something, but because of commercial reasons, I decided not to, that's you going to prison, because as you put in commercial.
Yeah. They can't, HSE cannot stand you saying stuff like that. They cannot stand it.
I agree with what you're saying, and I think as an employer, you just have to follow the law of the land. But the practicalities are these things do create more costs. So there's got to be a sense check, and the only reason I say it is because we're already struggling for labour force in the UK, right? And if it becomes too costly,
yeah, no, Ryan, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
That side of the argument.
But yeah, no, it 100% adds cost, but also it is what it is. Like it's part of it is part of the cost. Things are more expensive to to build, and that's where as people listening, you have to. That is from a business sense. This is your cost base. It's kind of like if you were in any business, the cost to do business. Health and safety in this type of industry is a cost to do business. It's a non-negotiable, mandatory cost. So it has to form part of your business model. And therefore, you need to find a business model that works considering that cost. And what you can't do is try to cut a mandatory cost, like in any cost-cutting exercise in a business. You can't cut mandatory costs. You can only cut fat. But unfortunately, fortunately...
I don't know though, D. Like, as in, I agreed with the statement, but if I'm Taylor Wimpey, I'm one of the big boys, and this is what's happening around the world now, right? Then I'm going to invest in innovation to try and create autonomy, which does end up disrupting jobs, to get around these things, so those mandatory costs no longer apply for my place of work. If I'm using robots again, or if I'm using some kind of automation, then
I don't disagree with that. I think that's though a separate argument, because as a business, as you say, like there's one thing about like not cutting mandatory costs, but then also just as a business in general, always thinking about R&D and where to get either competitive advantages from or reduce the mandatory cost buy innovation, or
But it's that second and third order consequence again, because only the big boys can afford it. And those big boys are going to, if they can reduce their cost base, they're going to do so at a great advantage to the rest of the SMEs.
but the big boys aren't going to be focusing on, no offense, the big boys aren't going to be focusing on 10 unit sites, 15 unit sites, 20 unit sites, 25 unit sites. You know, the SME market is different to the, you know, we're not really going to be going for 3,000 unit strategic sites either.
But it's those big boys that are the big employers, right? And they're the ones who are generally training up and build up, you know, these kind of academy programs to bring in the new recruits. If they bring in the autonomy and they're no longer incentivized, it's a race to the bottom on cost, isn't it?
Right. Just on two things you just said there. Ignoring health and safety is like trying to get someone to come to your office and get them to work without a computer. You build in the computer as part of the cost of them going to work, right? In terms of, you just said about the big boys are the ones who are going to do the R&D to try and make health and safety safer. I think that's incorrect. I think it's the smaller guys who see opportunity in that market. So my brother, for instance, he's created a thing called the heat pump mover. Is that you can move 200 kg. He was doing air source heat pumps and was like, these things are fucking heavy and they're hard work and you can't do it. You know, you have to have 8 people in a health and safety perspective to move these things around a building site that's all uneven and rocky paths. So we designed these 2 wheels. It's basically a sack barrel. I've taken the piss out of him for the last few years while he's been building it, and he's just gone and sold 500 to Dakin, and he's done a European thing. He's got thousands under offer now. And
who's you sold it to? Wheels. Who's Dakin?
He's laughing at you now, Stu.
Yeah, now he's like, this time next year, Rodney. He's doing really well. Like, good on him.
How's Bitcoin doing, Stu? Just sold my company for $2 billion.
But Stu, that's not really that's not really my point. My point is that
you're saying R&D improving health and safety, but it's the actual
not improving
who do the work.
It's not improving health and safety, completely making it redundant. And that will work for them and it won't work for us. So their site costs will come down because that's the incentive of the market, right? If you can reduce your cost base, so your cost of goods sold, then you can increase your marginal benefit in the product. We won't be able to do that because we won't have those kind of abilities. So it's with the force function of increased regulations only benefits the incumbent. It happens in every sector, and it's happened massively in the car sector over the last 100 years, which is why it's completely cost prohibitive for an SME to start a car company. That is going to happen to construction with these increased regulatory barriers, and the big boys have the R&D budgets and the tax benefits and the subsidies to be able to bring in these kind of cost deflationary measures that we want.
The big boys are currently investing in R&D. So I'm currently in talks with a business now that I'm looking to, just early stage of acquisition that is to do with, modern methods of construction, because I'm a believer of it as well, and I do believe, more off-site construction is definitely the safer way. Like in that document I just sent you guys, there's like 25 different regulations there, but when you're on site, there's so many moving parts. But in a controlled factory, you can control them and systemize them on a moving site, not necessarily as well. But in that conversation with this business, obviously they're well established. They've built a business to an 8-figure business, and they know all the competitors, including the subsidiaries of the big boys that have direct investments and subsidiaries into these MMC arms, and they are already, I've been told, investing in robotics. Slowly but surely. They started off with like factories with personnel to build frames. That's advanced to robots building a big portion of the frames, and now they're even talking about certain robots to do, the facade fixing before it even goes out, and trying to basically eliminate or effectively a factory line that can do 350 to 450 homes a year may get to the point where it just needs 3 employees in the factory. Basically, that is quite incredible. But the one thing that it can't, I really struggle with in terms of the innovation of machinery when it comes to groundworks, when it comes to enabling works, groundworks, and getting the site ready to slab. Post slab, I can see a tremendous amount of innovation still, being able to finish a house with relatively limited. But that groundworks bit, I struggle. I can't see how they can.
Houses when they get to that point are like equivalent of like 80 grand of today's money. They might be in 15 years time, but they become deflationary because there is no work. It's done by computers, which means it becomes a utility, which is not a bad thing. But the problem with house prices going up and health and safety and the cost is not to do with health and safety and the cost. It's to do with government inflation and power and greed, which is a completely different subject. But ultimately, when we get to that point, houses will just become a utility.
But D, on your point with groundworks, and this should be the last bit we do here, because this is nearly a health and safety podcast.
Don't put that in the title, because no one will watch it. Everyone like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just
Do anything
sorry to
but.
break it to you, gents.
That's just culture.
I've just been going through my management accounts. You've been fucking chatting.
I thought Jack just zoned out in this conversation. He was like,
Dorian was asleep last podcast. Jack's asleep this podcast.
D, just the last point, D, on the groundwork stuff though, because with what makes you think that can't be automated, at least largely automated? Because if they're right,
there's some advancements we're doing. For example, like we use a lot of the precast, pre-insulated concrete beams when they come to site. So we've tried to do away with beam and block completely, and go into that. And we've also, most of the sites we do, even when they don't need it really, unless it's a basic strip footing, we basically factored in the cost of doing piling and precast beams to do that. And so we are really looking and trialing lots of different innovations to streamline stuff. But the complexity of taking an existing site, an existing building, getting rid of the knotweed, getting rid of the asbestos, doing the demolition, sorting out all the levels, reducing to the levels that need to be, like the cut and fill exercise with the hauliers, etc. And then there's so many intricacies that come up in groundworks I just can't see until we get to the point where we have like humanoid robots. I can't see how that can be. You can't do that in a factory. You have to be on site, and it needs labor with machines.
Yeah. Yes. Jack,
anyway,
what would you like to discuss?
Anything but health and safety.
All right, well, let's move on then. Let's go to
the docket.
Let's go to the docket. I just wanted to bring this up because of obviously the dire straits that our economy is in anyway. So any tax collection that the government can get is obviously something they're going to want to use. But also, particularly for me, in this group of four we have, everything I do is renovations, and a large amount of what we do is small renovations. And we're always buying distressed assets. We're always buying properties that are run down. And almost every time we can't get away with reduced SDLT. We have on a couple because they're clearly uninhabitable. But there's even properties where you need to do a full rewire, whole new kitchen, new bathroom, you need to replaster the thing, and you still pay the full rate of SDLT. And now there's quite a bit of different case law that's come in because of people trying to claim SDLT relief. For the viewer's benefit, if you buy a property that's considered uninhabitable, you don't have to pay SDLT. You can go through your solicitor, they submit to HMRC, and effectively it's exempt of SDLT, which is just tax, stamp duty, land tax on a purchase of a property. And they're now making it just so hard for you to claim this relief. But my argument is, you're going to have to spend considerable cost on regenerating these small houses or whatever it is into modern condition. And surely there should be more of a relaxed framework around this, because it's now almost impossible to claim the relief unless the building is completely screwed.
We've even had it where we've got structural engineering. A RICS structural engineer is actually advised that the building is essentially structurally unsound and it's not safe to walk through the front door, and they still pushed it back.
It's mad.
Crazy.
It's mad, isn't it? Because
you need to have a wall missing.
It's just mental, isn't it? Because it was there. I think it was a really good measure, because it incentivized the sale of homes that needed a lot of work and for people who needed to buy them. And essentially now the government's just taking their slice when it just seems like it's a good. SDLT should just be abolished anyway, and we spoke about that before. But particularly in these case scenarios where you might have to spend 20-30 grand regenerating these houses, and you're still paying what could be upwards to 10-50 grand on SDLT, depends where in the country you are, or 3-4 grand in my sort of area. I don't know. I just think it's just another move that's just going the wrong way, and is another thing that's adding to housing costs. Not a great deal to talk about there. I just thought it was a good one to bring up because it's becoming more and more firm now. So anyone listening, who's obviously going to be in our sector and dealing with this, just know that if you're trying to claim those SDLT reliefs, well, there's a lot of case law now of people getting fined and recouping that, HMRC coming back and recouping that money. So just be really careful if you're claiming the relief. Next bit though is one for Stu. Stu, explain what's going on here, mate.
What's going on? Oh, this was announced last night. How you put it up? Yeah, the 401k. So that's basically like a American pension that Donald Trump has just signed an executive order to allow retail or the public to invest their pension fund. They don't really have I don't think they have like pension funds over there. They sort of put it into indexes and stuff, but ultimately they can put their pension funds now into alternative assets. So it opens up a gateway, a floodgate of I've heard between $8 and $12.5 trillion, which is like a bit of a honeypot, which allows retail to move their money into individual tickers in stocks, into single family houses, so they can invest in buy-to-let properties effectively in America, and they can invest in digital currencies and crypto. So it's just, again, I'm not suggesting everyone would go and buy their money, put their money into Bitcoin, but it's another gateway where there's a graph actually, which I've got, which if they've been, some of the, who was it? I can't remember. It's called a solo 401k, which if they took the $12.5 trillion of money that's available and just put 1% into Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin would probably go up to about $300,000. I think they're saying, there was a poll that was done online, which was most people think between 10 and 100% should go in. And if they was to put 5% of that $12.5 trillion that's now available to go into Bitcoin, then at 5% allocation would mean the future Bitcoin price would go to about $2.6 million. And that's just 5%. And the poll was between 10 and 100%. So it's just another thing. I mean, I'm so bullish on Bitcoin and where it's going, and all these institutions that can buy, there's talk now it could just step up over 10 years. Over the next 10 years, 8 to 10 years, it could just step up 30, 40 grand every 3 or 4 months.
Keep going up. My two favourite things in life: health and safety courses and Bitcoin.
That's it, mate. You got to buy Bitcoin safely. You got to learn how to store it offline.
But it is fascinating.
That's massive.
It's fascinating though how a legislative change can unlock $9 trillion from a capital market that could then now be invested into this new market. There's only sub $2 trillion still, I think Bitcoin is, like, just from government making a legislative change, and that just shows where America's taking the world.
Can we talk about the water park guy?
Oh yeah, baby.
Can I go on, D.
The itinerary was announced. The itinerary was announced last night. It come through from me.
So
golf course. Go on, mate.
So we, as you guys know, over the past few years, well, basically, I don't have any friends. I do. You guys are.
Hey, we're your friend.
What I meant was,
friend.
All my friends have, because I've been in business for such a long time and from an early age. All of my friends have been developed through business, right? Yeah, work. So yeah, and I like to do activities like golf, like skiing, like other things, but I never like to do them by myself or like recreationally, because I always feel like I'm unproductive. So I've always liked combining those things, even like go-karting or racing and all that sort of stuff, with work. So I've always felt like I'm being productive. And every we've ran a ski trip for a couple of years, I think, and this is a golf trip that we're running because I like golf and I want to play nice places, and this is Villa Moor, is a nice path. So we rented a villa, and we've got I think combined it might be like 15 or 16 of us in total. So it's going to be a good turnout. It's going to be good fun again, and we've got an itinerary. I've got an employee who works for me called Mia. She's really good at organizing these things. She takes the stress off me completely. I literally, guys, don't even get involved. She's really good. And obviously she's also going to be helping the team. Jack's obviously involved with Heather on some of the events for Ground Up. But yeah, so we're all going out on the 20th, and the itinerary's been set. But we're playing, I think, 3 championship courses. There's an evening on the yacht, which includes tapas, snacks, and then jumping off in the middle of the sea, no doubt, with snorkels and paddle boards, which is fun. We've got a beach morning, we've got a beach evening, we've got a private chef, we've got a barbecue, we've got a soiree, and to top it all off, the last day, we're heading to a water park. How fun is that? I love water
park. Water park. Portugal's largest water park.
Oh,
Oh,
sick.
sorry, Portugal's largest water park. Sorry, yeah. I am
I
going
didn't
to
know we were
be
doing that.
It's good.
throwing
It's really
kids off, get in front of them.
good. There's a
You
brand new
also
theme
got-
park
We're
ride
just
there.
waiting to confirm if Jack has come in,
Yeah, Jack, come on.
and then
mate.
we've got the full shebang.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Tree and mean, keep them keen. No, I am trying to negotiate that this weekend.
You
Come
got
on,
to,
Jack.
You got to do it.
Bring
If
the
anyone's
father-in-law, mate.
negotiated, it's you. Come on, he's a pro negotiator. If he fails on this negotiation, I'm going to rip right into him. Stuart's negotiated, missing his kid's birthday.
Whoa! Mega,
and a house move, which is going to happen probably the same week. So it's like, if it happens on the same week, you can't go to Portugal. I'm like, there's a little bit of work to do, but
Delay it,
you'll
mate.
see me at the airport, mate.
He's now going to strategically push it back a week. Just to,
He will.
He'll
He'll
be
push
ready.
that
it won't be quite
that's
be
good.
ready.
Classmate, and I can vouch for the ski trip. It was wicked, and the great thing was just being with new faces and people who are good people, and having chats and having pizza and stuff. It wasn't even the activities; it was just being around good people. And the activities, obviously, another huge benefit. I'm shit at golf, and I'm just going to lose every game we play, so I'm not looking forward necessarily to the golf, but it'll be fun. Stu, are you good at golf?
I play about 4 times a year. I wouldn't say I'll make the time for it. I think when I retire, I will play more, but I'll swing a club.
Jack's good at golf. I know Jack's good at golf. So
I'm not really that good at golf.
I know. Look at him. Yeah.
Fucking search that, like, I'm not that good.
I'm not that good,
I
guys.
can't
It's handicap based, isn't it? It's like
no, your handicap then.
What is it?
I think it's about 18.
Is that good?
Yeah. So look, I play off mid-20s. I'll be honest with you, because I with golf, you want to be good, you have to play quite a lot, and I don't play that often. I'm a business corporate golfer. They call it, where I only play golf in business events, basically charity golf days, business networking golf days. I'm not a member of a course. I can't play. I don't like playing outside of business environments, to be honest with you. But in a business environment, I love playing.
What handicap would I be?
Under the fun, then, won't you?
What handicap would I be if I'm shit?
Probably 28.
As high as you can get.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll play off whatever mood I'm in. If I'm in a complete relaxed frame of mind, there's no better feeling than swinging a golf club and just being completely relaxed. If you're under stress or you've got things in your mind, I can't swing for love nor money. And it's just, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll be on 28, and if I'm in a good mood, I'll play off 20, and that's the swing difference in the day.
Missing your kid's birthday, moving house whilst you're swanning off in Portugal is probably a bit.
Yeah, I'll be totally chilled.
To be fair, you are going to make it back up to. You're taking them on holiday, aren't you? So I know that you're
to Disneyland.
You look at that. That's a proper.
You'll be sound. You'll be sound.
Good. Standing
probably just don't talk about the water park bit, because kids love.
No, I missed that bit. I'll be at the airport waiting for my flight. It's the last day, right?
All right, back to the docket. This might infuriate any of us. Jack, I feel like you're going to get pissed off by this, maybe. But the Labour Party posted this yesterday on their Twitter, and the comments were savage. But look at this. Have a look at that. Speaks for itself. With Labour, interest rates are coming down. They tried to use this as a bragging right that Labour's doing well. And if, for anyone that doesn't know, the only reason, obviously the BOE, who determines rates, they are actually pals with the left and Labour, but they're independent. And the only reason the Bank of England are dropping rates is because the economy's crashing and inflation is persistent, so they want to keep it up, but they have to drop it because Labour's done such a piss poor job of managing the economy. And then Labour post this. The leaders of our country post this. It's like a big fuck you in the face. Like I couldn't believe when I saw this. I was like, "How are you that moronic? Like, who's Jack? What do you have to say about this? Because I know this stuff's peeving you off nowadays. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, without going into too much detail, I mean, as you analyse, it's a bit like they've walked up to us with plasters every time that the base rates drop and gone, "Here you are." But what they've forgotten is they've whacked us in the face with a cricket bat before they've fucking brought us the plasters. So like they're the problem that's creating this action, because they're suppressing markets, they're throwing more into taxation policies, they're fucking giving it away to people that don't deserve it, and being extremely inefficient. So yeah, I mean, it's that, like you say, the moronic. It's it's kind of more annoying that they're claiming bragging rights on it when they're not actually looking at the root of the problem, which kind of winds the people up that understand the root of the problem more. But then the sort of probably, I don't know whether the majority of the UK would look at that and go, "That's amazing," or whether they'll go, "Fucking idiots." I don't know. Maybe we should do a poll. Maybe we should do one of those like TikTok videos where we go
What do you
around
think?
Reading town centre and ask people what they think of it. Because I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you whether that.
Well, but what you're saying there, Jack's really important, though. What you're effectively saying is those that aren't aware of the issue, they can manipulate, and that's essentially what
Correct.
they've been doing.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of government marketing, really, isn't it? It's getting
Yeah.
the majority and keeping the majority. Yeah, it's a shit show. I mean,
Fucking shit show.
I mean, it's obviously nice. I'm not complaining, because when I see base rate goes down, I know that's creating a saving for us. We've got some variable short-term development facilities that do follow base rate. Great, we're saving some money there. That's lovely. But equally, I want market movement, and I want the economy to be booming, and I want the UK to be, like interestingly, because we've got the mother-in-law living with us at the moment, they were kind of giving me some shit about our government. Well, they were completely laying into me about our government. And I said, just acknowledge, though, 3 years ago, you had Biden in administration and you didn't have Trump. And the UK economy, the UK government was conservative, but it wasn't great, but it was still conservative. And I was like, it can change that quickly. And I kind of feel like we're going to a breaking point now, and the breaking point needs to happen. Otherwise, change won't happen.
I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and it's just like the difference in America. I know we spoke about this. Is obviously, they get executive powers, and their whole constitution is just set up different to us, so they can make rapid change quick. We just can't. We're just stuck here, and it's going to be a cultural break that's going to change things. I don't see a party changing it. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be the people protesting, riots, whatever, that are going to, or rioting government buildings. That's going to be the thing that does it, because we just don't. The parliamentarians have no power anymore. It's been divulged to the Quangos. There's no way for someone to come in and go, right, rapid change, executive order this, executive order that. Everything has to go through due process. It just takes so long, and we don't have time anymore.
It's where do you go next if inflation ticks up again and it starts going to 4, 5, 6%, and they've got the rates where they need to? Where does the country go next?
Well, most people are leaving if they can.
Yeah.
The government
country,
the government
that are left,
the sort of middle and lower tier of class. So what the problem is, we're just becoming a very dull, basic entity with lack of innovation, lack of business ownership that wants to grow in this country, and it just becomes shitter. It's not like what do we do next? It's just what is our country then? That's it.
Yeah.
It's just what do we become? We don't have to change. We're not changing anything per se. It's just what we become.
Well,
Watch what happens now on the in the autumn budget. I think it's going to be.
I'm glad you said it, D, because we've got some more positive news. Look at that. Think tank urges tax hike to fill 41 billion. And I've actually seen numbers that suggest this is 51 billion. 51.40. It's double the black hole that supposedly the Tories left over. How are they going to fund this? Like, it's just that they can't. Like, we are. Like, I was going around with Jay yesterday, who's our videographer, and he loves quizzing me on bits of the market and property and taxes and things like that. And I was trying to explain to him and break it down and go, there is no out. The economy is in a place, and culturally we're in a place where there is no out. There isn't an out. There isn't a way to legislate this away or to tax plan this away. It's like our future is kind of already determined, and we need huge government reform. Like massive. We need revolution. It's the only way that we can get out of it, because we're not America. We don't have the same speed to act legislatively. And 41 billion unfunded black hole is going to spook the markets in such a way that I think we're a bit fucked, boys. If I'm honest, what do you make of it?
Also have short-term memories. We always have short-term memories, but it's the bottom of the next business cycle. It's just all it is. Everyone gets nervous, gets worried. They print a shitload of money. everyone forgets about 12 months later. Everyone goes into good times. You print a load of money, everyone feels drunk and high, and everyone's excited again. But you pay £18 for a cup of coffee, and it's the way we go round again.
But in all fairness, in the last 20 years, I haven't seen an economy where anyone's been high on success.
Silicon
just
Valley.
look at the amount of money they printed off of after COVID.
No, in the UK,
house prices are moving.
In the UK,
everyone's
so
into job.
what I'm getting at is
getting paid to sit at home.
where the fuck does this cycle come? When does it come? I'm well excited for it.
It happens every 4 years, mate. 4 to 5
know,
years.
Yeah, but we haven't had one in 20 years.
2020, mate, was the last cycle. They printed shitloads of money. Everyone got high. Everyone started buying things. Houses were moving.
You're talking about.
I'm on about the money printing cycle.
Disposable income, consumer spending. I'm talking about business opportunity cycles, which does happen.
Well, one of the
highest you take on, you can take more risks because there's more money around. You can get loans for cheaper. So the money cycle promotes all that in business.
I'd agree to some
extent. The number one way they get out, the number one way ideally that they get out of the problem that's best for everybody is through economic growth. That is the number one way.
Yeah, grow you out.
But that is where, for some reason, I can't see really any policy. There's hardly any announcements or policies about what they're doing for economic growth. They're basically firefighting with these. I reckon there is going to be a lot of tax rises. There's going to be a lot of stealth taxes as well. Things like freezing the personal allowances, aligning probably capital gains with income tax,
pensions.
Doing stuff to inheritance tax, and doing stuff to pensions, doing stuff to fuel duty. Things that seem invisible but will have a meaningful cash thing. But the biggest thing by far is that the economic growth. What are they doing about that? Really? I can't see much.
Cool, because they don't really care about the business owners.
Yeah, and that's not just Labour. That's just the government bureaucracy doesn't care about workers because we live in a Keynesian system. And this is going to touch a bit more on Bitcoin again. But the idea of Keynesian economics compared to Austrian economics is that a government's expenditure is how you grow an economy. The idea is that more spend creates more consumerism, which drives GDP. And that is such a flawed way of viewing an economy. And it incentivizes the printing of money and a larger government, which we know, anyone with common sense knows that the only growth that comes from an economy comes from the private sector, because that's what pays and funds everything. So we need to get out of this Keynesian mindset and get to an Austrian mindset, which is the idea of saving and allocating capital where you see a return, not funding zombie companies and institutions like the public sector, where they don't actually produce anything that's net. So obviously we're going to be in demise, and we've been that way for...
Do you reckon they're going to mothball HS2?
It's an insult, mate. The director of HS2 is getting paid $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year.
Well, I mean, the budget for HS2 left, I think, is 50 billion. It was started off to be a 20 billion pound project and it's risen to 100 billion. But do you reckon they'll mothball it? Because obviously the black hole has got to such a point where they cannot tax their way out of that deficit.
I think they're going to have to look at cutting a whole load of programs up.
Some intelligent fucker buys it off them and runs it properly and runs it private. Because construction is one part of it, but then you've also got the management and the running of it. I mean, if you look at National Rail or TfL, it's a shit show. Someone private should buy it. Someone from China.
I mean, the question is, right, and here's the thing, right, because we talk about economic growth, but I obviously haven't seen the studies, but if you're gonna drop £100 billion on HS2 to connect, Birmingham and London, how much extra economic growth would that add to the economy in today's digital world?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, agreed, mate.
So why do it?
Yeah,
because it's
backwards.
It's cloak and daggers, isn't it? It's a way of pulling money out of the public sector and into private hands. That's all it is. It's just a smoke and mirrors. And now they've used it for as much as they can. They've run out of money, or they now can't get away with it anymore, so they'll cut that off.
I mean, imagine putting that 100 billion into incubators around tech, AI, around stuff. The driving force where if something comes off. I seen a graph the other day about the largest, the most successful companies, and it's dominated between US, China, and UK is just not even on there. So, but yeah, it's because they've
market cap's it's kind of fair of market cap though, because like if you do look at our financial services sector, we are still, you know, we are actually the biggest in the world to some degree, because 51 trillion is managed through the City of London. That's all of our offshore protectorate islands. That's where that's managed. But
you wonder,
you're right.
then you wonder why they're trying to keep decentralized ledgers and Bitcoin and blockchain technology out of the UK, and why it's so difficult to get the message out there. It's because we lose everything when we lose the financial sector. We don't need banks anymore, effectively. We can do peer-to-peer. I can send you value over the internet for free, or as close to free as you can get. You don't need fee takers.
I do think, and Jack and D might go, but I know Stuart's going to love this one. I do think that that Bitcoin is going to save the UK. I think that's the paradigm shift will come when the masses adopt Bitcoin in the UK, and that will save us from the regulatory capture, the incumbent capture of the financial markets that they determine our government and our legislation. It all comes from the banks in our country, the banking system, the state factors. Like, they have a balance of power that we just don't have here. The financial sector in London, the City of London runs the UK. It's not even close. Like, the incentives for them to control everything is there, whereas Bitcoin comes in and kind of goes fuck you to them guys because it's global. And I do think that's probably what's going to save us. And if you don't have Bitcoin yet, viewers, make sure you go buy some, because that's how you get out of this trouble. I mean, Jack and D, you must be thinking more bullishly about Bitcoin now. Like, look at the state of the economy. You must be going, I need something.
For me, it just comes back to the same point. It's like I have a limited pot of capital, and currently in my current position with the current business I have, if I deploy X £1,000, the return, even if Bitcoin basically, you know, in terms of all the predictions out there, there's no because it's not such an early adopter now. I know it's still got a lot to go.
Mate, it goes up forever, Dorian. This time last year,
but it's not that. It's but so does the business value to a certain point. The investment in the business not only
this time last year it was $66,000. We're doing nothing apart from save in a different currency in a different parallel universe. It's doubled. That's 100% return on doing nothing, not answering one email, taking one risk.
But so is my business in terms of that.
More emails, more risks.
Look at the risk you've had to take to double your pound.
If you had a health and safety issue,
if you make 5x, if you 5x money in a year, I think fair play.
It's earning. Like, I'm actively making it reinvest and earn. The problem with Bitcoin is,
so am I.
The starting point is like, call it 10 grand, and then any gains on there, doesn't compound on itself. It's gaining from the original capital, but I have to put more capital in to keep it. Do you know?
I'm not selling side to sell it.
This is how I think about it, yeah, and I know Stu thinks about it the same way, yeah. I put a couple grand a month where I can from my HSBC account. I've got a direct debit that goes into Strike, yeah. And let's round it. Let's say you put in 2 grand a month. 2 grand a month today. You're like, yeah, that's not going to be life saving money anytime soon. But the predictions, and the best predictions, are that Bitcoin's going to 100x, potentially 500x by the time I'm in retirement. Which means if I'm putting away 2 grand a month, let's say 100x it's like putting 200 grand a month in real-term purchasing power into my pension pot. Show me a better pension scheme or a better way to save money. So I agree, allocating money to business is definitely what you should do with at least 80-90% of your capital. But there should be this amount.
Well, if in that argument, then the UK is going to sort itself out because they currently own 62,000 bitcoins.
Yeah.
So
no, it is.
If it's going to 100 or 500x, then the whole coffers are going to be wiped out itself.
That is our saving grace. If the Labour sell
that
Bitcoin, it's going to be heartbreaking. I mean, Germany done it last year at $50,000, and then they're the meme century in the Bitcoin world of like, what a stupid thing to do. And if the UK do that, that's everything we've got in terms of value gone. That's how much I believe in where it's going, and it'll be a real dark.
Because if it's going to 100x, that will wipe out the deficit.
Yeah, that's what America's doing.
Exactly. That's exactly why they bought a strategitic Bitcoin reserve, and we should be following what they're doing, not being scared of it. Going, we're going to lose all our power because we're the financial hub of the world. It's honestly,
their entry. They don't have an invest. They confiscated it. Now they own it. That's the power of government.
Well, apparently they were trying. The left have been trying to sell it in the UK for a while, but thankfully, because we have such a convoluted judiciary, they've not been able to sell it.
Well, there you go. That contradicts what you just said earlier, right? See, if Labour had fucking rights now, it was sold already on the market, gone. So thank goodness.
If they did, if we would have stroke of a pen, it'd be gone.
But yes, that is that. I'm appreciating your guys' time. Who's got to go at 8? Someone's got to go at 8. Is that you?
I need to go and do an exam, mate. I've got a few minutes here. D's got financial director meetings.
Oh yeah, go on, D. Give us what you're doing. Then you're bringing on an FD. Do you want to talk about that?
Not really.
No, I mean, look, I think one thing people got to realize if they ever want to scale a business that requires personnel and want to keep scaling it is that like recruitment and performance management, people coming and going is like a constant part of the business model, and you've kind of got to get used to that and de-emotionalize from that, desensitize. So the business, not that I'd like to have done so, but we've unfortunately gone through 4 different either heads of finance or finance directors for various different reasons. So we're currently on the look for a finance director at the moment. The problem is operating in a startup, high growth business model in a challenging industry. You can get somebody that comes, you at a CV drops in desk like, I'm a competent finance director. But the problem is they could have worked in quite a stable company all through their career, become a finance director, and it always amazes me how some of their like competencies, their adaptability on like an SME scale, problem solving and outside the box thinking is non-existent. They're so used to running a already well-oiled system and process that they're a finance director in name, but really, some of junior staff I've worked with who've come from grassroots up in an SME high growth startup type thing, they're outside the box thinkers because they constantly got to solve problems and get stuff going. So yeah, long story short, I'm on the lookout for that because the next stage of the growth, we're about to be audited, raising funds. I'm speaking to institutional investors at the moment. I'm dealing with all of that, so it'd just be easier for the business and de-risk from I'm starting the process to kind of working out where my time is spent in the business and who can help me take that over, who's better equipped and more competent than me to do those things. And then I can focus on my strengths, which is the next opportunity, the next region, more funding raising, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not best placed served heading up the finance type of thing. I need somebody who's shit hot at doing that, working alongside me, helping deliver the vision on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, mate. It's the next piece to your puzzle, isn't it? To take over the UK. So good luck, mate. Hopefully it goes well, sir.
Ends on there somewhere.
My friend. One last thing then, and Jack, this one's probably over to you because I think you've been mostly at the front of this. We might be doing a live event.
Yeah, so for the last few weeks, we've been trying to get hold of Stuart for some dates.
Last week, mate, I've just been a bit busy. That's all.
Fucking hell.
It's so funny. His last text he put to me was like,
was one day away from.
Now I've got your attention. Can you give us some dates when you're free? Like,
Yeah.
We was one day
a bit of
away from
marketing there,
putting
mate.
your face on the milk cartons and the thing, saying,
Yeah.
anyone seen this fella?
Yeah.
If you're coming on the golf trip, mate, we could have discussed it all there, but
Yeah, mate, I
someone's a
need
bit
to get it done
preoccupied.
now. I can't
Yeah.
rely on meeting face to face to organise everything. What are we in fucking 1400 BC? Jesus Christ.
Go on, Jack, give us a lowdown.
So yeah, Dorian, myself, and our sort of extended team and some lovely looking assistants have been working on essentially running a live event. We want it to be bold. We want it to be cool. We want it to be very reflective of how we're, I would say, sort of more young blood movers and shakers in the industry. It's most likely going to be London based, and it's just going to be a jam-packed day of having a bit of fun, obviously topical conversations, whether that be property stuff, business stuff, financial markets, crypto. Hold on, Stuart is going to make it in there. And just to bring this podcast and new listeners and people that listen to us into a bit more of a reality, being able to see us face to face and us being able to see you face to face. And it'll be really good to sort of bring that all together. And we think we can make the podcast better off the back of it. We think we can make the network better off the back of it, and hopefully run consistent events thereafter. So the dates will be released probably in the next few weeks, and then tickets will obviously go out. Any Ground Up Network members do get a discounted ticket price, quite significantly discounted. But yeah, if you're interested in it, reach out and we can share more details on the event. It will probably be in the sort of latter part of the year, sort of October, September time.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say our main objective of trying to do live events is to really bring together people is the main thing. We're not upselling a course.
Community
We're
build.
not trying to
Yeah.
we're not trying to flip people. We want people to come in and
No
feel-
running to the back.
Yeah, there's none of that shit. This is all just about
We're gonna flip
networking.
it up.
Really
You got to
get
run
to
to the
know-
front.
Yeah.
we want people
great.
to build their network and get to know real operators and people doing stuff and share ideas. That's the whole concept. We're not selling you a 10 grand course at the back of it. Just to make that super clear for people. But go on, Jack and D. I'm looking forward to this. This will be sick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it'd be fun. And there's also some other bits on the back of that early stage development, which we're chatting about in terms of other like social gatherings to do things that, with for the ground up network community, for just go-karting, 25 people, first come first serve type of thing. Not to make a kit, not make funds from it, but to keep building that community type of vibe and do activities together while still business networking and going through deals and sharing what's working, etc. So, but they're all to come. So yeah, I think it's good that we've got the help, Jack, to get the infrastructure going behind it, and then Ryan and your team will kick in on the marketing side, and Stu will come and just deliver hot topics and on health.
Can
and
I make one
safety and walk
suggestion?
away.
Can we add a health and safety section? Because I'm quite.
Yeah, I know.
keen
I was
on
waiting for that.
And
Yeah,
to be honest,
As long as
I'm
we
so
got
excited. I'm
sleeping
going to do my
arrangements,
exam now, and I'm going to get full marks because I'm a good boy.
Go on. Well, good luck with your exams, Stu.
All right.
Cheers, boys.
Big love, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, share the episode. See you later.
Ground up sound. Ooh, yeah. Real estate